Sneha Samyukta Harinam Sankirtan. Sneha means with affection. Samyukta means complete engagement. Full on. Fired up. And back home, back to Godhead in this one lifetime.
Seed thing in a spiritual way. In other words, they give to unqualified people who see the thing materially and become lusty after their own sarup, because they're still not free from the Purusha Bhav. So by giving them the sarup, which is a female sarup, and they're still thinking in terms of a bodily conception of life, they begin to lust after their own sarup and fall down by doing aparat to their own sarup.
So they're getting the cart before the horse.
Yes, like that. So, and also, Bhaktisiddhanta was not at all satisfied with the fact that many Ajata-rati Vaishnavas, Ajata means Ajata means that it has taken birth in his heart. Rati has taken birth in his heart. Ajata-rati Vaishnavas means that Rati has not sprung forth within the heart. So before attaining Baba, which is Rati, before realizing their Sthai Baba, they are giving the mantras to other Ajata-rati Vaishnavas. So he says...
It becomes Ajata-rati Sampradaya.
Yeah, it becomes Ajata-rati Sampradaya. So he says, where's the question of Siddha?
Yeah.
That's what Prabhupada is saying, yeah, but who is Siddha? Who is Siddha, who has perfected the chanting of his mantra, which means that he attains Sarup Siddhi by chanting his Diksha mantra.
Then he can impress.
Then he can give the Diksha mantra
by his potency.
Yeah, on the basis of his perfection of the chanting of the mantra. He gives the pure form of the mantra. Otherwise, he gives the Abhas form of the mantra.
Yeah, he gives the clear conception. There's not such a potent diction.
Yeah, then
full of misconceptions.
Yeah, and he may be not even
it is
giving them.
essentially correct, though. Essentially, it's right.
Well, it's just like
it's just covered.
No, it's just like if someone is an offender to the holy name and he's giving initiation into the chanting of the holy name, in effect, essentially, all he's giving is the alphabets of the name. He's not giving the Sarup of Nam.
Yeah. And the thing is, right back at the beginning of our Sampradaya, the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, if you read the Brahma Samhita, it's there, just before Lord Brahma says, Chintamani Prabhupada, he says, by chanting the mantra, it occurs to me that I'm the eternal maidservant of
That's by chanting the Kama Gayatri mantra.
Yeah. So, there's the clearest, Shastric, by Lord Brahma, definition of how Swarup is attained. By chanting the mantras perfectly, it occurs. That means that prior to that, he just heard the word tapa. He wasn't given, a Karidas Bhav or any complicated thing. He was just told, practice the mantra.
No, but not tapa mantra.
No, yeah. Well, he was told, perform austerity. Then he meditated. Then it occurred to him.
No. The Gayatri Devi, Saraswati, Divya Saraswati, initiated, was told by Narayan to appear before Lord Brahma and initiate him into the chanting of the Kama Gayatri mantra. When after initiation into the chanting of the Kama Gayatri mantra, and by chanting the Kama Gayatri mantra, he realized his Swarup.
Yes, but he wasn't told his Swarup. It occurs to me.
Yeah, that's one way. But it's just like if you were given the name Hare Krishna, but you're not told what Hare Krishna means. See, just like Srila Prabhupada says that Hare Krishna means, O Krishna, O Radha, energy of Krishna, but essentially Radha. Please engage me in your loving service. So by having that conception when you're chanting, O Krishna, O Radha, and just like the idea is given that the conception of Rama means either Raghupati Ram, Parashuram, Nityananda Ram, Balaram, or Radhika Raman Rama.
Or Radharani.
Yeah, or Radharani even. Yeah.
So,
so according to the conception, but the chanting of that mantra will bear fruit. If the conception is directed toward, in other words, if one is meditating on Raghupati Ram when he's chanting Hari Rama, then he'll be thinking Sita Ram. He won't be thinking Raghupati Ram,
Yeah.
So the name of the name Hare will no longer denote Radha, but it will denote an expanded form of the Vladini Shakti.
So that's what's meant Divya Gyan, giving the right conception.
Yeah, the conception along with the mantra. And
Their
then by
conception of the Siddha Pranali, according to Srīpād, is actually a sideshow.
no,
The central thing is their esoteric understanding,
yeah,
the basic
but
mood.
because you may be given, just like if you're given that you are a follower of Radha in Lalita's camp, your name is such and such, Manjari, what is it,
But those things are only preparatory, unless the power is there.
no, the point is that you're given, this is your dress, your particular specific bodily beauty, like that. You have beautiful breast, etc. So, but if we're thinking that Radha is an ordinary woman, that she is a material transformation of the mode of goodness, as is Krishna,
That's
like the Mayavadis,
impersonal.
yeah, or any such kinds of things, by keeping within us, within our heart, any material conception, just like the Sahajias, they try to interpolate the material with the spiritual, and therefore they think that when they chant the name Radha, they're thinking of their barber's wife, or their goat named Radha, that was sent off to slaughter, and when he was a kid, and so every time he hears the name Radha, he remembers
So
how
the
his goat was
conception
killed.
was the correct conception.
Yeah. So it's essential to understand what is the bhav of a gopi, which is absolutely selfless. There's no question of having the.
That's why Bhaktivinoda says that in the end of Jagadona, the esoteric process.
Yeah.
He needs to understand the mood,
Yeah.
and it's being discussed by Raghunath Das in his
But it doesn't mean that
That's mind you,
it doesn't mean that there's no validity to the dissemination of Ekadasa Bhav. It doesn't mean that that.
No, because that's Dayan Chandra's mind. That's their
Yeah.
process.
No, but it's not only done in Chandra's mind. It is a practical reality which will be needed to be had by the person who is practicing to perfect the particular Bhav siddhi, the Bhav Deha. He has to have these things, but the Guru will give all those things, gradually, but maybe not all at once. Maybe he will give you, a certain aspect of it, and then as you gain adhikar, he gives you more and more and more. He may not immediately give you your sarup. He may give you your name first, to get you used to the idea that you're not a man. Just like the spiritual name which is given to us at the time of Diksha, or the time of receiving Nam, they change the name. So that is not our eternal spiritual name, but it serves a purpose. The purpose is that Prabhupada said it wasn't our eternal spiritual name. That's not the name of our original Braja Sarup. So the purpose being that because just like Hari Krishna Das, so I'm no longer Bhakta Fred. I'm Hari Krishna Das. So Fred doesn't help us to understand that we're not this body. But Hari Krishna Das makes us understand that we're Das, Das, and Das, etc. And we're related with Hari Krishna. So every time we every time we hear Hare Krishna Das, when somebody calls us, we're reminded of Hare Krishna and all these things. So it serves a spiritual function, to help to elevate us out of the bodily conception of life into the generic concept of being a servant of Krishna. So similarly, the Ekadasa Bhav, it's not necessarily exactly your real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
See, so because it mentions in Harinam Chintamani that even after having practiced according to the principles of Raganuga Sadhan, that when you attain Bhav Siddhi, you may discard elements of your Raganuga Sadhan which do not actually befit your real feelings.
It's just it's a way of focusing the mind.
Yeah. It's a way of redirecting or to extricating the conditioned soul from the bodily conception of life by giving a simulated spiritual conception of the real identity, in his eternal relationship.
The seed
with
of
Krishna
all that is the Bhav.
Is the Bhav, yeah.
So that's what's meant by the esoteric process.
Yeah, which is coming in the Bhagavad Sampradaya.
Yeah, yes, is to pick up, and that's what Prabhupada emphasized, surrender, and to pick up the mood of service.
Yeah, therefore, he says the Diksha mantra is there, but by the Bhagavad Sampradaya, we're getting the esoteric internal understanding of the nature of Braja Bhakti.
Yeah.
So that we can gradually, form our attitude, so that the mantra that we're given in the Diksha is gradually elevated to the perfectional stage.
Yeah, the primary thing is the mood, and then everything builds around it.
Yeah, because if someone is not chanting Shuddhanam,
And
then he can have all the Siddha Pranali Dikshas that he wants, and he'll never get
That was
perfection.
the criticism about these people. They haven't absorbed about the mood.
Yeah, they
Haven't really
they're
deeply. They may have.
still smoking BDs.
Yeah, they haven't.
Still
and they're
chasing
giving
after
it
women.
to other people. So they're giving a very esoteric thing in a very cheap way.
Yeah.
So and then the whole of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism starts to fall down.
It becomes as a let's say
A forest of weeds.
it's like a school which is aimed at condoning materialistic activities, on the plea of religion.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so much discarded. He's not discarding Siddha Pranali.
Yeah.
He's discarding the abuse of Siddha Pranali. That's all.
Prabhupada, it's so called.
Yeah.
And Giri Maharaj, I was talking to him once about it. He says, those that from an immature stage try to practice this Siddha Pranali just from the mental platform, in their next life they'll become
Vaishnavis.
Yeah, they'll become women.
Vaishnavis, they'll because they're pious still.
Yeah.
They're connected with Krishna
They'll
consciousness.
become women.
But they become women because they never their conception,
They
their
didn't go
mood
fast
doesn't
enough.
go beyond
Yeah.
the conception of material womanhood, which is basically to exploit.
Yeah, because
So exploiting the form of the man.
Rati, the seed of the mood, the seed, comes after all the gross anarthas are gone. And Nishta and Ruchi is there. And from that,
Asakti, from
Yeah.
pure asakti,
and then
pure attachment.
then you get, purified. Then you can understand these things from the actual point of realization. So that was the main thing. That, the first somebody comes in and says, I want to be initiated. Okay, here you go.
So therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he was not inclined to let's say broadcast, the importance of Diksha, because everyone's harping Siddha Pranali Diksha. We have our Siddha Pranali and we have our Siddha Pranali Diksha, but when our guna is sufficiently elevated and we're free from the anarthas and we're actually becoming attached to Krishna, at that time Guru will give us the necessary elements for augmenting our
As
bhava.
he does all the way along.
Yes, he's doing in a subtle way.
Yeah,
It's a subversive way.
yeah. He's doing that all the time. But people, they become ambitious.
And impatient.
Yeah, impatient. They want the fruit before the plant has blossomed. First the flower comes, then the fruit. You have to, and if you get the seed, and if the seed grows, then the fruit will naturally come. It's just that you have to wait for the progressive development of the plant.
But we have to water it.
Yeah.
We have to keep our eyes on the goal.
So it's a very natural process.
But natural means that information is coming. And
That's part of the process.
Information is coming, and we adopt this. Just like if it says that the gopis, the sakis, do not desire personal, direct association with Krishna, but rather their highest pleasure is in making arrangements for Radharani's personal association with Krishna. So in this way, well, if someone is thinking that, well, I desire personal association with Krishna, so that means that I'm not qualified for Sakhi Bhav. So then I have to reform. Oh no, I'm a kubja. So I have to reform, my conception of the thing, and try to let's say alter. You have to alter, just like if the coat is a little too tight, or a little too loose, then you have to take it up or let it out, so that you can, so that it fits. Or maybe my stomach is, a little too fat, so maybe I should not eat so much, I should not be having so much of an enjoying spirit. So then, because after all it says that the gopis are the sumadhyama, so
So material.
These guys want to get some tips.
That's why.
tell them to come into my transcendental Kaldan palace.
That's why Prabhupada was. And that's why
Enter.
this is an esoteric subject. It's not for public broadcast.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Because
it's not.
generally public broadcast means my bhakti, rules and regulations, and philosophy.
And no.
And no.
Philosophy is for the classes. Nam is for the masses. For masses of people, Nam is the only hope for saving grace. Hare Krishna. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. Kalona Stevana, Stevana, Gata. Eva Kevalam. Kevalam means exclusively. So in this age of Kali, actually, all of our efforts, whether it's in the field of archana, or in the field of philosophical discussions, or in the field of cooking for Krishna, or in the field of any type of whatever, cleaning the bathrooms, whatever it is, the seed of all perfection will be in Nam. Nam Bhajan is the be-all and end-all, the beginning, the middle, and the end of all of our endeavors for perfection. So if we lose sight of the fact that we're dependent on Nam and our relationship with Nam, then we can try our best, but you can hardly expect success.
And that's why 16 rounds is just the beginning.
The beginning. Nam Japa, and even more powerful than Nam Japa is Nam Sankirtan. Because just like, if everybody together says, Krishna, then there's going to be a lot more Krishna for us, for all of us. If only one person says Krishna, let's do the experiment. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Krishna! See, so everyone is hearing a louder, bigger manifestation of Krishna, more powerful, you see? So that's the beauty of Nam Sankirtan. Sankirtan means complete, because instead of just depending on one person trying to say Krishna and taking shelter of our own efforts, we're taking shelter of the greater manifestation of Krishna in the form of the mass chanting of the holy name. It's definitely more powerful. So it does a lot more to clean the heart. Cheto Darpan Marjanam Puram Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan, because it quickly affects cleaning the heart. Putting out the fire of material lust, and establishing us in the Anandam Buddhibhajanam Patipadam Hornamrita Swadanam.
Anyway, you should bring out that book about the different things.
Yeah.
Shortly.
Yeah, something should be done, and because Prithu was saying that if I give it to him, then he will present it to the GBC for their consideration as new information, which may change because GBC is coming across with this idea that it doesn't matter, if you take an initiation from someone who's fallen down, you really don't have to worry about, anything. Just take shelter of the Shiksha Guru or the Shiksha Sampradaya, because after all, we are a Shiksha Sampradaya, but we're not a Shiksha Sampradaya. We have our Shiksha Sampradaya, we have our Diksha Sampradaya, and the Diksha Sampradaya should, just like Nam is...
And the madness, the step further than that is this Ritvic idea.
Yeah, but that is in relationship to the Diksha's idea of thinking that I can get Diksha from someone who's not present. So the Shiksha form of Ritvik is to think that we can receive Shiksha directly from Srila Prabhupada. So it's a fact that according to the Shiksha principles, because the Pancharatrika system and the Pancharatrika Vidhis are different from the Bhagavad Vidhis. So certainly we can get the association of Rupa Goswami by reading Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjvala Nilmani, etc. Certainly we can get the association and get direct instruction from Srila Prabhupada, So, but it is so, and Nam, there's no rules and regulations saying that we can't hear the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra chanted by Srila Prabhupada on his recorded kirtan cassettes, and get the benefit of hearing Shuddhanam, not only Shuddhanam, but Premanam. And if we embrace that and embrace the ideals which are coming, then certainly we can do scientifically Shuddhanam bhajan, But the Diksha one, that means to say that even we receive Nam initiation officially from anyone, but our Nam bhajan can be fortified by hearing Srila Prabhupada's Nam bhajan, Nam kirtan, which is for our benefit, you see. But not everyone can go around hearing Srila Prabhupada's chanting of the Gayatri mantras. It has to be received in disciplined succession. So then how important it is that who is giving the Gayatri mantra should be sufficiently realized, should be chanting Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam commences or begins at the stage of Ruchi. When one has Bhajan Ruchi, Shuddha Bhakti Bhajan Ruchi after Nishta, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that at that time...
Which book is this?
This is Jayavadana.
Jayavadana.
Yeah. He says that...
Whose version is this one?
It's the Gaudiya Math, It's mentioning. It says that this Nam, that when one is having ruchi for pure devotional practices, that at that time he is chanting Shuddhanam. So the Shuddhanam means that it is directly Krishna, manifesting Krishna Surya Sama, which is illuminating, and which brings us gradually to the stages of prema, bhava and prema, etc. But if someone is on the platform of anishtata bhajan, which means that he is still plagued with anarthas, then he is not chanting Shuddhanam. He's chanting Abhasnam at best. He may be on the clearing stage, which is a type of Abhasnam. But Abhasnam doesn't give prema. If you chant for purification, you will not get prema. But if you chant for the pleasure of Krishna, then you will be systematically elevated to the Shuddhanam platform. Because the pleasure of Krishna is the consideration in Shuddha Bhakti. Anukulena Krishnana Shivanam. That is the Sarup Lakshana of Shuddha Bhakti. If we're simply doing Anyavilasika Shunyam, then you can hardly hope to get prema by simply trying to avoid, ulterior motives. I don't want to be a motivated person. Not dhanam, not janam, not sundarim, and I don't care for moksha. But what do you care for is the point. If you're just not caring for this and not caring for that and not caring for the other, then you can hardly expect to get prema, because prema is based Krishnendriya Priti Iccha. To have the desire, Iccha, it means desire, to do Krishnendriya Priti. Krishna Indriya means the senses of Krishna, Priti means to satisfy or to to give pleasure.
I gotta go.
8:30.
Anyway, I'll find it for you, and
Yeah, it'd be good to
show you.
This one's calcium.
Yeah.
This one.
No, that's calcium.
Bit thick. When it's scary like this and a bit fat,
Usually it's white like that. Oh, maybe it is looking. Because it's spotted. Motley looking. Anyway,
but this is thin and not hairy. And that's Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare.
Because Prabhupada
the Prabhupada allowed it. Prabhupada did allow it.
Gornityananda Ball.
Gornityananda, no.
There is a quote from Sri Prabhupada where Bhagavan Swami asks, is it okay to chant Nityananda Ball, Hare Bol, Hare Bol? Sri Prabhupada says, yes, why not? It's in the following.
Is it? And there's another, according to Hari story, he says that Prabhupada told that actually this is Guru Avagya, because I didn't give this mantra. You know, you should chant the mantras that you give. But he said they may do, but actually it is Guru Avagya.
What's wrong with Gornityananda Ball?
Mainly because it's coming in what is perceived to be as a sahaja branch of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. So therefore we don't want to be associated with it so much because of the fact that it's coming in from Upper Sampradaya. But Prabhupada did tell to just like in Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that in Navadvip, I think it's Navadvip Bhavatranga, I can't remember, but he mentions that in the future that devotees from England and France and Russia and Prussia and Germany, America,
France,
all these places, Africa or wherever. When will that day come? When they will all assemble together in Navadvip and chanting Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan. So at least we can understand from Bhaktivinoda Thakur that Jai Sachinandan is correct, And Prabhupada told, because Guru Kripa was very fond of chanting Jai Sachinandan and Nitai Gauranga, and Prabhupada told that if you go on chanting Nitai Gauranga and Jai Sachinandan, then you will go back to God. By chanting Nitai Gauranga and Jai Sachinandan. So some people may say whatever they say, but who said it? From where are they getting their information? Just like some people want to say that that it's not proper to chant Jai Radhe.
Yeah, right. That Prabhupada said that.
Yeah, but Prabhupada, there's plenty of other evidence where Prabhupada says that it's all right to chant Jai Radhe. There's one conversation here in Vrindavan where Prabhupada is being asked, what can we sing in kirtans? Is it okay to sing Hari Bol, or Nitai Gaur Hari Bol? I forget exactly what he said. And Prabhupada says yes, but mostly chant Hare Krishna. And then he says, is it okay to chant the songs of the predecessor charges? Like Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Gora Mori, like these different songs, and Prabhupada says yes, but mostly chant Hare Krishna. And then is it okay to chant Jai Radhe? And Prabhupada says yes, but mostly chant Hare Krishna. So and at least 5 or 6 or 7 different things were asked, and Prabhupada saying yes, but mostly chant. Every time he's bringing it back mostly chant Hare Krishna, mostly chant Hare Krishna, mostly chant Hare Krishna. So it's obvious that what Prabhupada really was trying to say is mostly chant Hare Krishna. You know, and maybe, you know, a little Nitai Gauranga mixed in, you know, 3 times Panchatattva Mahamantra, a little Nitai Gauranga, a little Jai Sachinandan, you know, and a little, you know, Radhe Radhe or Jai Radhe, you know, mixed in, but not, you know, a whole half hour, you know, a half hour, you know, or 45 minutes of Govinda Jai Jai Gopal. Prabhupada said we could chant it. He gave that as an alternative mantra. Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai. You know, but not that we spend, you know, a whole hour chanting Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai, or a whole hour chanting Jai Radhe, or a whole hour chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda for that matter. You know, Prabhupada gave us this Panchatattva Mahamantra, but it's not that we're supposed to chant. You know, that is as the mainstay of our kirtan performance. You know, the bottom line is mostly chant Hare Krishna. You know, but many times I hear that you know, so they sing each line of the Gaur Artik, for example. This Sandhya Artik, the Gaur Artik song is chanted two times each line. You know, and then they chant the Guru Pranams, and then the Panchatattva Mahamantra, and then the conch shell blows at the end of the Artik, and they haven't even started chanting Hare Krishna yet. At the end of the Artik, you know, and by the end of the Artik, they haven't started chanting Hare Krishna. The public goes away, you know, because the Artik's over, and then they didn't get a chance to hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra even once. You know, then they chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra about three times. Then they start going in Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. You know, then they chant, Jai Radhe. What is it? Then they start.
Radharani Ki Jai.
Yeah, Maharani Ki Jai. And that's okay. That's a nice song and everything, and the local Brajvasis are singing and everything. So maybe it has some, because it's nothing wrong with the essential elements of the mantra. You know, Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. There's something wrong with the essential elements of the mantra, because the conception behind it is that Nitai Gaur is Radhe Shyam, that Nitai is Radha and Gaur is Shyam. So therefore, there's Prabhupada was not interested in allowing such mantra or such concocted form of mantra, to be chanted.
So, babaji something.
Yes, from Orissa. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, and various other types of, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Ram Shri Radhe Govinda is also there. But actually, that I've heard that mantra was given by Gopal Guru Goswami. Some people say like that, whether it is or not. I wasn't there when Gopal Guru Goswami was giving out mantras. But some people say like that. But in any case, then they go into Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha for half an hour, and then back to Radhe Radhe, and then by that time a whole hour and a half has gone by, and they only chanted Hare Krishna mantra 3 times. So this is not Prabhupada's standard. Prabhupada's standard is that we should mostly chant Hare Krishna. If we sing, if there's time, just like we have 24-hour kirtan, so we're chanting only Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When we go into the temple to pay our obeisances to the deities, when we offer obeisances to Gaur Nitai, we chant the Panchatattva Mahamantra so that we're freed from any offenses against the chanting of the holy name. Come around, to the kirtan mandal after offering obeisance to Krishna Balaram Radhe Shyam and Tulsi Devi. By the grace of Tulsi Devi, we enter into the chanting of the Mahamantra. That's our system. So that when each new group that comes, we're supposed to be doing like that. You're doing like that, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good boy.
Very good boy.
What you can say about Prabhupada, your experience with Prabhupada?
My experience with Prabhupada.
Most
Uh,
strong.
you mean when he was physically present or after
Yeah.
he left?
Even after
What? Oh, that there's.
the strongest impression.
The strongest impression that I have is that first impression that I had during his physical presence was that he was a monolithic, let's say, monolithic. You understand? Monolithic means like, a huge, singular entity, which was like a what do you call it? Like a giant. Because when I didn't meet Prabhupada until after 3 years. 3 years after, I was initiated by Srila Prabhupada. I was initiated by tape cassette, etc. I received my Diksha mantras by Prabhupada's cassette process. So I didn't see Srila Prabhupada until 3 years afterwards. So all that time, I had a conception of Srila Prabhupada as being like a giant personality, because his voice was always booming, like with a deep resonance, and he's sounding like the absolute truth, coming down through the ages, a giant representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead like that. And I was feeling very reverential and say by respectful distance and all these things. But then when I met Srila Prabhupada, then I was totally shocked. First thing was his physique was so small in comparison to the picture that I'd created within my mind, which I think is an experience that many of his disciples had. But and then of course, I was coming from his quarters in Washington D.C. With all the devotees after the morning walk. We went on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada, and when we came back from that morning walk, and Srila Prabhupada was coming from his quarters to the temple for greeting the deities in the morning before Bhagavatam class, Guru Puja and Bhagavatam class. So I was somehow or other nominated to lead the kirtan. But I wasn't that good of a mridanga player. Still not that good of a mridanga player. But I was doing the best I could, and I was chanting Hare Krishna, from the heart, which is my natural way of chanting, is from the heart. So, and I was walking directly side by side with Srila Prabhupada, and chanting Hare Krishna and banging on the mridanga best I could, and all the other devotees were also chanting. And then Srila Prabhupada just turned to me and just like, because I was like maybe only a foot and a half away from him, and I was happily chanting Hare Krishna, walking beside Srila Prabhupada. I was very happy, that I was with Srila Prabhupada and walking beside him. Because I didn't get that many opportunities to be with Srila Prabhupada. I was initiated, I joined in 1973, early spring, March of 1973. And then, as I was chanting, and happily being with Srila Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna. And he turns to me and he said one word to me, which remains with me as my only hope. This is the only word he ever said in this physical presence. And that was, he looked at me and he kind of cocked his head, looked at me, cocked his head, and went and raised his eyebrows and said, "Jai." So he said "Jai" to me, you know, and that Jai.
Do we have to make so much noise?
Bhagavad Purana is entering. We will have everyone know.
At the time, the tone will be 8:52.
Yes, so much for my remastering today. This is exactly what Mahabhagavad said would happen. You know. Anyway, Prabhupada said Jai, and because he was saying Jai in relationship to my chanting, my performing Sankirtan, I took that as a great inspiration, you know, because Jai means victory, you know. So I could understand that Prabhupada was pleased with my eager attempt to chant Hare Krishna and do kirtan. And I take inspiration from that, you know, in my lifelong efforts to, you know, perfect my chanting of the holy name in Sankirtan. You know, then a week later, we went to New York on the 1976 New York Rath Yatra, and Prabhupada was so pleased to ride Subhadra's cart down Fifth Avenue. It was the first time that our Rath Yatra had gone down Fifth Avenue, which was the most important street in the whole world, you know, as you Prabhupada's estimation. You know, so he was very happy. So during that time, two things happened. Because I was in Richmond, Virginia, which is about a 6-hour drive from New York. You know, on super fast expressways. You know. So I don't know how many hundreds of miles.
It's 325 miles.
325.
It's 100 miles south of D.C.
Yeah.
225 from D.C. to New
Yeah.
York.
Okay. So I was going to say around 350. Around that. But anyways, it's not important. The point is that my Sankirtan leader, you know, because I was doing really huge for myself and for that time in book distribution. You know, every day I was distributing no less than 250 to 400 Bhakti-guided magazines, and maybe 20 Bhagavad Gitas, Macmillan Bhagavad Gitas, and also some Bhagavatam. And so at that time, because you know, I was mostly in the Bhakti-guided distribution. I was a small timer. I was never an airport distributor. I was a big, you know. But I took solace. Prabhupada said that all my books are big books. You know, he says big books or small books. He says all my books are big books. So I took solace in understanding that even the small books were big books, because even by reading one paragraph or one line or one word of Srila Prabhupada's books, you can change the history of that individual's, you know, sojourn of material existence, from failure to success, So anyway, because we were doing pretty good, my Sankirtan leader was telling no. I kept telling him to come on, we got to go back, we got to leave a little earlier, so that we can arrive alive, and be alive, when Prabhupada's giving his lecture, etc., in the morning. So and he was saying no, but Prabhupada will be, we'll be able to understand the lecture, if we just put out that extra effort to sacrifice for Srila Prabhupada's pleasure, then what Prabhupada's saying will, we'll be able to, we'll penetrate their heart, because we've made that extra effort and put out or embrace the sacrificial mood, which is the mood that we have to be in order to actually appreciate anything. What has to say? After all, Bhakti Amam Avijananti Yavanyas Tatpatha, that you can only understand Krishna, and you can also only understand the pure devotee, you can only understand the words of the pure devotee, by bhakti. So let's show our extra bhakti, our extra devotion, and stay out till 1,000,000, distributing books, So anyway, I finally convinced them that we should leave, by around 10 o'clock at night, and took us 6 hours to get back. So we rolled in just in time for Mangalartik.
Oh my God.
So then we attended Mangalartik. Prabhupada was there, and all the throngs and throngs of devotees, were there at the 55th Street skyscraper temple that we used to have in Manhattan, and so then after Mangalarti there was a japa period for most everybody, but Prabhupada was going on his morning walk in Central Park, and so in some place, I forget where it was, on the East River Park. There was a park, East River Park.
Right.
So instead of chanting our japa, we all jumped into vans and went, screaming through red lights and. And so Prabhupada was saying Jai Radha Madhava, and then he started his lecture in about 1/4 way through the lecture, I started dozing. I was sitting right next to Prabhupada Prabhupada was right there, and I was totally exhausted, falling asleep. I was hearing everything. So I was dozing, how it is. Dozing, you still hear it. So as I was dozing, I started dreaming that I was hearing the sound of the steps. It was coming over the loudspeaker. I was speaking to the mic, it was coming over the loudspeaker, and it sounded exactly like I was hearing the steps of the Prophet. And when I realized that I was not hearing the cassette that Prabhupada, and I remember that I was in a class with Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was actually there, but it dawned on me, the realization came to me that there was virtually no difference between my being in the class. Or someone could argue that, well, maybe it's the same as being in the class while sleeping, dozing in the class. There may be a difference between dozing in the class and being awake, fully awake in the class. But my realization was that there was no difference between hearing Srila Prabhupada's cassette, because it was as if I was just hearing Prabhupada's cassette. My eyes were closed, I might as well not been there, basically, you know. And I didn't see Prabhupada in front of me, you know, but I was hearing him. I was hearing every word and listening carefully to every word, although I was asleep and dreaming that I was hearing him on a cassette, you know. So then I gained the realization that, at least what I consider to be a realization, that hearing Srila Prabhupada's cassette is identical with directly hearing from Srila Prabhupada. You know. So, you know, that gave me some inspiration. So then the next day, after coming back from the morning walk, you know, and immediately after Guru Puja, you know, before Bhagavatam class started, there was Prabhupada was distributing prasadam to all the devotees. So there was the devotees had made cookies. I don't know why they're so fond of making cookies. I would have much rather had a piece of burfi or something. But anyway, cookies were easy to distribute, I guess. So they brought two big, huge, like this big, huge size platters, you know, plates of a huge amount of cookies, because there was a lot of devotees there. And you know how they were nicely decorated the edge with rose flowers, and you know, made it look nice and attractive, and presented it to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was holding one plate was on the was it the bolster on the side of the Vyasasan, and the other plate Prabhupada had in his lap. So it was like a huge, you know, pushing like India crowd of devotees, you know, all trying to get Prabhupada's cookies, you know, and there was they weren't like lining up in queue or anything, you know, that would be totally dull, you know, but it was more ecstatic, you know, everyone was just pushing forward, you know, and I was about you know three devotees back, you know, it was like different you know layers of devotees, you know. So I was about three to start with. I was about three devotees back, because actually, you know, I was accustomed to. Anyway, we were there close to Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasan, but you know, everyone just kind of like rushed, but I was closer to start with, you know, but everybody else kind of rushed in and kind of like, you know, squoze me out a little bit, and I was like, there was about a line of, you know, 15 or 20 layers behind me, you know, it's like huge, you know, like hundreds and hundreds of devotees there, you know. So then all these cookies, and I was reaching my hand out, trying to get over, you know, over all the other devotees' shoulders, you know, to get a cookie too, because there was like practically no way I was gonna, you know, I was being lifted up by, you know, carried along with the waves of devotees, you know. Sometimes I'd go further away from Prabhupada, sometimes closer, you know. And you know, so then, but you know, I was getting, I started getting closer and closer, and pretty soon I was standing, you know, right in front of Srila Prabhupada, you know, with my hand in his lap.
Oh boy!
Practically, you know, right, you know, the plate was right, you know, like practically touching my fingers. The plate was in his lap, and I was like putting my hand, you know, saying, you know, come on, Srila Prabhupada, you know. But the whole time, you know, how I'd gotten up closer was because devotees were, you know, getting their cookies and leaving, and more devotees were pushing in, and they would get the cookies and leave, and somehow or other leave, you know, or squeeze out somehow or other, you know. So as you know, more and more devotees were coming, but the whole time Srila Prabhupada was putting a cookie, because from the very beginning, even though I was started out about 3 layers back, you know, my hand was extended out, you know, practically into his lap. Even then, I was, you know. Not really, you know, but the. So he was continuously. My hand was there, right in the middle, you know, almost, you know, right in his lap, and he was putting a cookie here in this person's hand, and that person would take his hand out, and a new hand would come in, you know, and then he put a cookie in that hand, you know, and then that hand would come out, and a new hand would come in, and he was going like this: a cookie here, a cookie there. you know, and different hand, different hand, different hand. So, and he was passing them out pretty quickly because there was a lot of devotees, you know. So it was a cookie here, cookie there, cookie here, cookie there, cookie here, cookie there, cookie, you know, new hand, cookie, new hand, you know, coming, going, cookie, you know. So and I was coming, come on, Srila Prabhupada, you know. And then one plate was missing. I mean, one plate was finished. You know, then, you know, a devotee took away that plate, you know, and then a new plate came, you know, and, you know, like a huge amount of cookies, you know, and then pretty soon, you know, Prabhupada was doing the same thing again and again. Cookie here, cookie there, cookie here, cookie there, cookie here, cookie there, cookie here, cookie there, cookie here, cookie there. And he kept crossing over my hand, and it became obvious to me that he was avoiding me. It became out, you know, that, you know, my hand was there, you know. Come on, Srila Prabhupada. you know that, and then it was like, you know, down to 20 cookies left on the plate, you know, then down to 10 cookies left on the plate, you know, then 9, 8, and I was counting everyone. I was going, oh no, come on, Srila Prabhupada, come on, Srila Prabhupada, you know, then, you know, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, you know, and then, you know, he gave the last cookie away, and, you know, and he didn't give me a cookie, you know, and, but then, you know, the wonderful thing is that this is a thing which kind of made me feel, it made me feel a little bit kind of like small, you know. I think it was just because, you know, I was doing huge on book distribution, according to, you know, now, you know, Harinamanand and all these guys, you know, stacks of books and whatever. I don't know who's out there nowadays. I don't know if Harinamanand is still out there. Is he still out? Yeah. But anyway, you know, I can't sell sets of books and stuff like that. I never did. Never tried. You know, anyway. But in that time, it was pretty big, you know, but I was trying to be humble, you know, I wasn't thinking that, but certainly I wasn't the biggest, you know, but I was happy that I was doing something a little substantial, you know, for Srila Prabhupada. But at the same time, there was this conception of Srila Prabhupada as being like the unapproachable, you know, giant, you know, but I didn't, you know, I was not able to actually, I never understood or knew the personal side of Srila Prabhupada. So when I saw him, he was playing this game with me, you know, and it was obvious that he was playing a game with me.
Did he look at you at all?
Huh?
Did he look at you at all?
No, he was too busy looking at the hands that he was putting the cookies in. He wasn't looking at me. Well, he was basically just looking at hands, you know. So then when he got all the way down, you know, my anxiety was mounting, and, you know, come on, you know, you're not even going to give me one, you know, you're not going to give me a, you know, I have my hand here just like everybody else, and then my hand's been here the whole time. My hand's been here. Everybody else's hands have coming in and going out, you know, and my hand's been here the whole time, you know. So you know, like, you know, hey, I need some mercy too, you know. But then it was, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, you know. But then immediately after when he saw, you know, my anxiety and distress, you know, and then he picks up one of the roses that was on the side of the plate, and it was far out when I saw him doing this. It was really neat, but he just picked up the rose, and then with a big smile on his face and chuckling, he was chuckling about what he had done to me.
Like he knew.
It was obviously that he knew what he was, you know, that he was playing a game with me. So it was like a personal thing he was doing in relationship to me. Everyone else was getting the mercy, you know, but he was doing a special game, playing a special game with me. So I was thinking that, wow, you know, fantastic, you know, at least I'm good for a laugh, you know, I'm good for a joke, you know. Srila Prabhupada was joking with me, you know, And so he picked up the rose, and he was with a big beaming smile and actually chuckling, laughing, with a and he just picks up the rose and throws it into my face. So other than that, I have hardly any relationship with Srila Prabhupada, by receiving any direct discussion, association with him, or any instructions or any such thing during his physical presence. But after he left, then many times in my dreams, Srila Prabhupada is coming. And after he left, I more than I ever could have hoped to have in his physical presence. I've had so much intimate association with Srila Prabhupada, where he's giving very important and intimate instructions to me about my spiritual life, and because like the first dream that I had with Srila Prabhupada was when I came to India the first time. Oh no, the second time, and I was trying to get some festival paraphernalia. I'd gone to Orissa. There's a town called Pipli, just between Bhubaneswar and Jagannath Puri. There's one little town called Pipli, and in this town they make all these colorful cloths. You see these umbrellas, with the elephants and different birds and different things, very colorful type of things. So I wanted to get all kinds of varieties of custom-made cloth decorations for my festival program that I was doing in New York. I had stopped directly engaging in book distribution about that time, because I was distressed to see that all over our movement there was no more Harinam Sankirtan going on. I don't know how long you folks have been in the movement, but the fact of the matter is that before Srila Prabhupada left, there were devotees going out every day in practically every major city all over the world, on Harinam Sankirtan every day, except for maybe in some places like, in London, but now I hear that they're only going out 3 days a week. Not going out every day anymore. It's on the wane. Obviously, in America, practically it was stopped. And even to get anyone to, because we used to go in New York, there used to be like, 40 or 50 devotees going out daily, every day, on a Harinam Sankirtan procession, street Sankirtan, and then on weekends, Friday and Saturday night, both nights, the whole temple, 250 devotees at that time in the temple, 250 devotees would go out, and that was like a huge, powerful vibration, 250 devotees, with 20 mridungas, and humongous. Everyone brought out their kartals. Everyone brought out the mridungas. Bhumipati, everyone. It was just huge, And I don't know if you've experienced it, but what that kind of sound sounds like, reverberating between the skyscrapers. The sound was like intense, completely intense, amazing, and the public was just dumbfounded, completely awestruck, because it was a very intense vibration. So those were the days, and then afterwards, it was like pulling teeth. Couldn't even get anyone to get even 9 or 10 devotees to go out on the so-called Maha, Saturday night Maha Sankirtan program. Everyone else had something better to do and stuff. So there was definitely a Harinam Sankirtan crunch, in our movement, and I wasn't very happy about that, because I grew up in my Krishna consciousness, and I grew up with Harinam Sankirtan, even though I was going out daily on book distribution, but on the weekends, I would definitely go into Harinam. And when I joined, you know, the Harinam Sankirtan, you know, every day when I would hitchhike about 50 miles from my father's farm into the city, and join the Harinam Sankirtan party that was out on the street, and then I would follow them back to the temple, and we'd take prasad, you know, and then I would hitchhike back out to my father's place, you know, for a week or so. I was doing that. That's how I joined, you know, and it was attractive to me. It was the thing that made me realize that the Hare Krishna movement had some life. It was the life of all transcendental knowledge, you know, first-hand experience, you know, availed to anyone and everyone, you know. So when I saw that that was no longer going on in our movement, I became rather distressed, and so I decided that I should focus my attention on trying to augment the consciousness of the need for Harinam Sankirtan in our movement. So in my meager little way, I've been trying to do that. But anyway, when I came to India to try to get this festival paraphernalia, so I had to try to figure out, you know, how I was going to get the stuff out of the country without paying customs duty and stuff. You know, I was, you know, trying to do that. So I met one life member in Delhi, you know, who happened to be one of the officials at the airport, the international airport, you know, and he promised me that he would, you know, arrange for the free passage of the duty-free passage of the goods, you know. So, and he invited me over to his house, you know, for doing kirtan, you know. But when I got to his house, I saw that he had a dog in his house. He was a Bengali. So, as soon as I see a dog in someone's house, I can understand that, you know, they must be feeding the dog something, you know, and probably it's meat, you know, some kind of meat, you know, and who knows, maybe some kind of table scraps, fish bones, or whatever. Bengalis are famous for their attachment for fish, you know. So I thought that, oh no, you know, he's invited me for prasadam, you know, kirtan and prasadam and all this stuff, and he's got a dog in his house. So then I told him that I would only accept some fruit prasadam. You know, Prabhupada said that we should be careful not to accept even water from someone who's not chanting 16 rounds and following the regular principles. Even life members who are not. He says if they're chanting 16 rounds and following the regular principles, then you can accept prasad from them. Otherwise, you should be careful not even to accept water from them. So I was kind of like in a pinch, because I knew that according to Indian culture, they feel insulted if, you know, you don't take something at their house, you know. So then, so I did kirtan. I accepted some fruit prasadam. Then he arranged for some a cot, you know, one of these you know, hemp cot, you know, rope cots, you know, for me to sleep on. And so I as soon as I fell asleep, then immediately Srila Prabhupada appeared in my dream. And it was the first time I had experience of Srila Prabhupada appearing in my dream. And it was so profound experience, because it was like vibrantly Srila Prabhupada, you know. And the first thing he says to me is, "Aindra, what are you doing?" Because actually it was the first time, except for it was the first time that I ever slept off my Guru Maharaj's property. You know, except for on Sankirtan, I was sleeping in the van, or sometimes we would sleep in hotels, but we would pay for the hotel room. You know, but I never slept in anyone's house. You know, or got a free room or something like that. But either we paid for the room, you know, with Prabhupada's money, or we were on Prabhupada's property, sleeping in the van or in the temples, whatever. But it was the first time that I'd you know, departed from that principle. And I had taken rest in some life member's house, but to the public and all these things, but then I became overwhelmed with the realization that I'd given up Srila Prabhupada's #1 business of book distribution. And I in the dream, even to this day, if I'm remembering it, my heart becomes agitated because when all of a sudden it struck me that I was explaining to Srila Prabhupada that I was doing something other than, the thing that I'd done for years and years. Because at least 8 years I was dedicated as a full-on everything. Even Vishnu Jan Maharaj wanted me to join Radha Damodar to take care of Radha Damodar, the deities, because I was also doing Pujari service, and every day going out on book distribution. So Vishnu Jan Maharaj knew that I was that I was a good Pujari, and still I'm doing Pujari service, But I'm attached to deities, and as much as I'm practically, as much as I'm attached to the holy name, But when Vishnu Jan Maharaj told me, requested me to come join his Radha Damodar party and take up the service of Radha Damodar, I told him that yeah, I want to, because actually I wanted to join Radha Damodar, but, and I said but, Prabhupada says but means no, so I said but, actually I'm more attached to book distribution. I know what it means to take care of the deities on the Radha Damodar party. It means that you got to do 7 artis a day. You have to dress the deities in the morning, do 7 artis a day, and prepare at least 2 or 3 offerings, at least the fruit offerings, and put the deities to rest at night, and where it will be the time for my book distribution. So I declined. I said that yes, I want to, but and explained like that. And then Vishnu Jan Maharaj, he told me, something very wonderful. He said, Aindra, never say you want to do something, because if you say you want to do something, it means you really don't want to do it. Because if you really wanted to do it, you'd be doing it. And that was a profound statement. I thought, and I like to remember that. Never say, I want to be a pure devotee. I want to become a pure devotee. Oh, you really want to become a pure devotee? Then, well, if you really wanted to become a pure devotee, you wouldn't be saying that you want to become a pure devotee. You'd be becoming a pure devotee. So don't say. This is a great thing he said. Actually, never say you want to do something, because if you say you want to do something, it means you really don't want to do it. Because if you really wanted to do it, you'd be doing it. And it applies to practically anything. So anyway, the point was that I declined on account of my attachment to book distribution. To go headlong into any other service. But when I was telling Srila Prabhupada about my enthusiasm for augmenting Harinam Sankirtan, and then suddenly it dawned on me, huh?
In the dream?
In my dream, in my dream when I was telling Prabhupada, then it dawned on me that I was telling him, that I was focusing on something other than that #1 most important, some solid work. If my books are distributed, then some solid work is there. Some solid work is done. Something solid is accomplished, because we may come and go, but the books will remain. He was calling, like, my cassettes are going all over the world. It's also a kind of Brihad Kirtan, but it's depending on electricity, isn't it? It's depending on the oil economy, oil-based economy, etc. As to whether or not anyone, in a few years, who knows whether there's going to be any electricity for people to, and oil's going to run out sooner or later. after 20 years or 30 years or 50 years or 100 years or whatever, but the books will be there, something solid. Even if there's no electricity, then still, even if there's no lights,
During the daytime.
during the daytime when the sun is shining, God has given us, this sunlight. Otherwise, the material world is dark. There's no light, but He's giving us the sunlight only for one purpose, so that we can see by this sunlight into this Shastra Chakshus by reading, the literatures left by the predecessor acharyas, So as soon as it suddenly dawned on me that I was expressing to Srila Prabhupada my enthusiasm for something else, but it wasn't his number one business. So I began immediately, when I realized that I was telling him like that, then I started crying and crying and crying, and I was weeping on Prabhupada's shoulder. Prabhupada had me to his chest, and I was weeping on Srila Prabhupada's shoulder, and Prabhupada was patting my head and telling me that it's okay, you do it very nicely. He was saying to me, don't worry, it's okay. But I was so unhappy to hear myself saying to Srila Prabhupada that I was no longer distributing his books, because book distribution is my life and soul. It's still my life and soul, even though I haven't done it in so many years. Harinam Sankirtan is also my life and soul. In my opinion, Harinam Sankirtan is the life and soul of Buddhist distribution. So at that time, when Srila Prabhupada was embracing me to his chest and patting my head, from him came a very wonderful experience. He was no longer the monolithic, unapproachable giant, but he was my older brother. He was my. I gained the realization that we're all sons of the same common Father. That Krishna is our common Father. We're all God brothers, because there's only one Father. Krishna is our Father, and everyone else, all the jivas, are brothers. It is not that who is, who is your God brother. Actually, we're all God brothers, because we're all sons of the same Father. Now the question is, in the Indian language, in Sanskrit, or Hindi, or I guess it's in practically any of the Bengali also perhaps, the word is not God brother. The word is Guru Bhai. The sons of the same Guru. So we may be different. I may not be your Guru Bhai, but certainly I'm your God brother. You understand? So anyway, in that way, it dawned on me that Krishna, is our everything. Radha and Krishna are our everything, and that my Guru is just my my older best friend, my older brother. And from that time on, Prabhupada, by appearing in the dream and behaving with me in that way, he established within my heart that my Guru my best friend. You know, he's my older brother. At least in terms of the Acharya Swarup of Srila Prabhupada, and my, you know, you can say, Sadhak Deha. It would be seen in terms of as older brother. But internally, it may be seen as older sister, you know, if you don't mind. But because actually we're Prakriti. Prakriti is female, you know. Although different devotees will have different inclination to serve Krishna in one of the 5 primary rasas. But you know, in spite of the fact that they are manifesting different forms as a cowherd boy or as a gopi, intrinsically speaking, you know, every associate of Krishna is a manifestation of the Ladini Shakti of Krishna, Swarup Shakti. That Shakti is female. Subal is also female. Nanda Baba is also female. They are expansions of the original manifestation of Ladini Shakti, who is Mool Prakriti. Mool, you understand? Mool means root. The root of all other Prakritis is Srimati Radharani. Yasoda Devi is an expansion of Radharani. Nanda Baba is also an expansion of Radharani. Lalita Devi is expansion of Radharani. Vishaka Devi is expansion of Radharani. Chandravali is expansion of Radharani. Tulsi Maharani is expansion of Radharani. Vrinda Devi is expansion of Radharani. Yogamaya is expansion of Radharani. Even Mahamaya is expansion of Radharani. You see. Lakshmi Devi is expansion of Radharani. Rukmini is expansion of Radharani. Rama Devi is expansion of Radharani. And every jiva, according to Srila Prabhupada in his Bhaktivedanta purports, at least in 3 places I've read, where Prabhupada says that every jiva is part and parcel of the pleasure potency of Krishna. You see. So as such, the origin of anyone's swarup is feminine, female, Prakriti. And Krishna is Param Purush. He's the original Purush, Adi Purush. You know, Narayana is not Adi Purush, but Bhajanananda Krishna, Swayambhu Krishna, who was the original form of Godhead. He is 100% Krishna. You know, other expansions of Krishna, such as the expansions, Swayam Prakash, manifestations of Krishna, who danced with the other gopis in the Maharas. You know, he expanded himself. So those expansions of Krishna and all other expansions, such as the Vilas Vigrahas, you know, Nrsimha, or let's say Matsya, Korma, Varaha, etc., and Narayan manifestations, you know, Vishnu Tattva deities, they are all expansions of the original Swayambhu Krishna. They are Swangsa, means they're personal expanded forms. So Prabhupada is told that all the expansions of Krishna, including the Swayam Prakash manifestations of Krishna, who became as the husbands of the 16,108 queens in Dwarka, and who danced with all the gopis. There were millions of gopis in the Maharas, and Krishna expanded himself, you know, to dance with each of those millions of gopis. You know, and each gopi was thinking that Krishna was dancing with her alone, that Krishna was specifically charmed by her feminine qualities, etc. all expansions up to the Swayam Prakash manifestations can only have up to 93% of the qualities of original Swayam Rup Radha Krishna. The Krishna that's with Radha is the 100% Krishna, with all the qualities, all the sweetness of Godhead. Therefore, our Gaudiya Acharyas, they advocate that we should focus our attention, and I can show you where this is confirmed in Srila Prabhupada's purports in the Bhagavad Gita. In the verse, in the 18th chapter, Man Manapapa Madbhakto Madhyashi Manavaskuru. In this verse, in the purport, you will see where Srila Prabhupada is advocating that one should associate, or one should concentrate his mind on this original form of Krishna, two-armed Krishna, playing the flute, wearing a peacock feather in his hair, a beautiful blue boy with a beautiful face, etc. Can't remember exactly the quote, but that's a paraphrase. And he says one should not divert his attention to any other form of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has multi-forms, such as Varaha, Narayan, Rama, etc. He says, but one should not divert his attention to these forms, but one should focus on this original form. Original means Swayam Rup. The Swayam Rup is the original form. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He's the original Bhagavan, original form. So, the Swayam Rup Krishna, who is the full-fledged manifestation of the personality of Godhead. So our acharyas advocate that we should concentrate our mind on that form. Concentrate on our attention on the Radha and Krishna. To see Radha and Krishna together, because Radha's Krishna is the Swayam Rup Krishna. So by approaching Srimati Radharani, just like Prabhupada is told that you should take a flower and give it to Srimati Radharani and ask Srimati Radharani to please offer this flower to your Krishna, and please, tell about me to your Krishna. Please be merciful to me and tell about me to your Krishna. Her Krishna is Swayam Rup Krishna. And then Krishna, upon the recommendation of Srimati Radharani, because Radharani says that my dear Krishna, please see your devotee. She is better than me. You see. Then Krishna says thinks that Radha is telling that she is better than her. Then on her recommendation, I will certainly, and even if she desires, Krishna will consider that she is better than him, because she's advocating, pushing for it. You see. And then Krishna places his loving glance on the devotee, and that devotee's life becomes successful, having received the favorable glance of Radharani's Krishna, Swayam Rup Krishna. So Radharani, our business in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, it is especially our business to understand the importance of adhering to the principle of somehow or other pleasing Srimati Radharani. This is the mainstay of Braja Bhakti, the main principle. in Vrindavan, the main principle is how to please Srimati Radharani. Because Radharani controls Krishna. Krishna is Madan Mohan. He can bewilder Madan, Cupid. But Radharani is Madan Mohan Mohini. She bewilders even the bewilderer of Cupid. And by her transcendental prem sevas at the lotus feet of Krishna, she controls him in every respect. Krishna has to bow down and cry at the feet of Srimati Radharani for mercy. And he does that. Not only does he cry at the feet of Srimati Radharani, but when Radharani has recognized her maidservant, due to her maidservant's full dedication to the pleasure of Radharani, unalloyed devotion to the feet of Srimati Radharani, means without any ulterior motivations mixed in, only that she wants to please Radharani by her every move, by her every thought, by her every word. You see. Then, when Srimati Radharani will be so pleased upon her maidservant, then it will come to pass that Krishna bows down and cries at the feet of that maidservant for mercy, begging to become the servant of Radharani's maidservant. This is very, very sweet and transcendental, blissful secret and science. It is a secret science, but it is an open secret. It's a secret which is like has blown open by the mercy of our Goswamis and all of our predecessor acharyas and Srila Prabhupada also. Srila Prabhupada has not withheld anything from us. He has given us everything. So we should try to, but according to our adhikar, mind you, according to our adhikar, you understand? Kanishta adhikari and Madhyam adhikari and Uttam adhikari. Adhikari means one who has adhikar. This specific adhikar as an Uttam bhakta, and this specific adhikari as a Madhyam bhakta, and this specific adhikar as a Kanishta bhakta. So adhikar means eligibility. If we are eligible to see something, then only we will be able to see it. If we're lacking qualification, thereby lacking the eligibility, if we're lacking purity, thereby lacking the eligibility. Just like, to give you an example, one time Srila Prabhupada was asked by one devotee. The devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, that I read in your books that in Vedic culture it is okay for a man to have more than one wife.
Yeah.
And do you know how Srila Prabhupada answered that boy? He said, "Oh, is that what you're reading my books for?" Can you understand the profoundness of that answer of Srila Prabhupada? Oh, is that what you're reading my books for? The Vedic literatures and Srila Prabhupada's books that he purports are like a desire tree. According to our desires, they will reward us. Those books are Krishna. They were written by Krishna. Prabhupada said that he didn't write these books, but Krishna wrote these books. Even he took pleasure in reading Krishna book. His own books. He was taking pleasure in reading, as if he was reading something that was written by Krishna, not something that was written by himself. So Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Sindhu Murti. He is the emporium of all varieties of rasas. From him comes the manifestation of Swarup Shakti.
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.